Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Have you ever apologized for something that wasn't your fault? Have you ever said yes when every part of you wanted to say no? Or stayed silent because you were afraid someone might stop liking you? Many people believe that being kind means putting everyone else first. They give their time without limits. They accept words that hurt. They lower their own needs to keep other people comfortable. At first, it feels like kindness. But over time, something begins to disappear. Not your success, not your talent, your self-respect. The truth is, people often learn how to treat us by watching how we treat ourselves. If we never value our own time, if we never protect our own feelings, why should anyone else? Today's story is about a woman named Sophia. She spent years trying to earn love, approval, and respect by always putting herself last. She thought that was the right thing to do. Until one ordinary moment forced her to ask a question she had never asked before. If I don't respect myself, who will? That single question became the beginning of a completely different life. Let's begin. Part 1. Always putting others first. Sophia was 30 years old. She worked as a graphic designer for a small creative company. She loved her job. She enjoyed creating beautiful designs and helping clients bring their ideas to life. People often described her with the same words: kind, friendly, easy to work with. Whenever someone needed help, Sophia was the first person they asked. And almost every time she agreed. If a coworker missed a deadline, she stayed late to help. If someone wanted to switch shifts, she changed her own plans. If a friend needed support, she was always there. She believed that caring for others was the right way to live. For a long time, she never questioned it. But little by little, her days began to feel different. She skipped lunch to finish someone else's project. She answered work messages late at night. She canceled weekends with her family because another deadline had appeared. Each decision seemed small, yet together, they slowly filled every corner of her life. One evening, Sophia finally returned home after another long day. She placed her bag by the door and stood quietly in front of the bathroom mirror. The room was silent. She looked at her reflection for a few seconds. There was nothing wrong with the woman looking back at her. But she looked tired. Not because she had worked too hard. Because she had spent another day trying to become the person everyone else needed. She smiled gently at herself. The smile disappeared almost as quickly as it came. The next morning, Sophia arrived at work early. She wanted one quiet hour to finish an important design before the office became busy. She had just opened her laptop when a coworker hurried over. "Sophia, I'm so sorry, but could you help me with a client presentation? I don't think I'll finish it in time." Sophia looked at the unfinished design on her screen. Her own deadline was only a few hours away. She knew helping would leave her rushing again. For a brief moment, she imagined saying, "I'm sorry, I can't today." The words never came. Instead, she smiled. "Of course." Her coworker thanked her and walked away. Sophia watched the door close behind him. Then she looked back at the mirror hanging beside the office entrance. She caught her own reflection for just a second. A quiet thought crossed her mind. Why is it so easy to disappoint myself, but so hard to disappoint anyone else? Part 2. The price of always being nice. The weeks passed quietly. From the outside, nothing seemed unusual. Sophia still smiled. She still helped everyone. She still said, "It's okay," even when it wasn't. One Friday afternoon, the design team was preparing a presentation for an important client. Everyone had been given a part of the project. Sophia finished her work early. Just as she was about to review it, her teammate Kevin hurried over. "I'm really behind," he said. "Could you finish my slides too? I'll owe you one." Sophia looked at the clock. The meeting was less than 2 hours away. She wanted to say no. She needed time to check her own work. Instead, she nodded. "I'll take care of it." Kevin smiled with relief. "You're the best." 2 hours later, the presentation ended successfully. The client was pleased. As everyone left the meeting room, the manager thanked the team for their hard work. Then he looked at Kevin. "Excellent presentation." Kevin smiled. "Thank you." Sophia waited. She wasn't expecting praise, but she thought he might at least mention that she had helped. He didn't. The conversation moved on. No one noticed. No one asked. Sophia quietly gathered her notes and returned to her desk. For a moment, disappointment filled her heart. Then she whispered to herself, "It doesn't matter." But deep down, it did. That evening, she met her close friend, Hannah, for dinner. As they talked, Hannah noticed Sophia's tired expression. "You've been working too much again." Sophia smiled. "It's just been a busy week." Hannah looked at her carefully. "Can I ask you something?" Sophia nodded. "When was the last time someone helped you the way you help everyone else?" Sophia opened her mouth. No answer came. She searched her memory. Days, weeks, maybe even months. Hannah didn't say anything else. She simply reached across the table and gently squeezed Sophia's hand. The conversation changed, but the question stayed. Later that night, Sophia stood in front of the bathroom mirror once again. She looked into her own eyes. This time, she wasn't thinking about work. She was thinking about herself. Not her job, not her responsibilities, just herself. She quietly asked the woman in the mirror, "When did I start believing that my needs mattered less than everyone else's?" The room was silent. There was no answer, only the reflection looking back at her. And for the first time, she realized she had been asking everyone else to value her, without ever learning how to value herself first. Part 3. The Woman in the Mirror. The following Monday, Sophia arrived at work a little earlier than usual. The office was still quiet. She made herself a cup of coffee and walked toward the small break room. As she reached the hallway, she noticed Grace standing near the window. Grace worked in another department. She wasn't Sophia's manager. She wasn't the oldest person in the company. Yet people often went to her when they needed a calm voice or a different perspective. "Good morning, Sophia," Grace said with a warm smile. "Good morning. You look thoughtful today." Sophia gave a small laugh. "I've just been thinking about a few things." Grace nodded. "Would you like to join me for a few minutes?" Sophia looked at the clock. She still had time before work began. They sat by the window watching the city slowly wake up. For a while, neither of them spoke. The silence felt peaceful. Then Grace asked, "May I ask you something?" "Of course." When someone speaks to you with kindness, how do you feel? Sophia smiled. I feel respected. Grace nodded. And when someone ignores your time, your effort, or your feelings? Sophia looked down at her coffee. It hurts. Grace waited a moment before asking one more question. Then why do you ignore your own? Sophia looked up. She had no answer. Grace didn't continue. Instead, she stood and walked toward a small mirror hanging near the break room door. She looked at her reflection for a second, then stepped aside. Come here. Sophia walked over. The mirror reflected only one person. Herself. Grace spoke quietly. Every morning we look in a mirror to check our hair, our clothes, or our smile. She paused. But how often do we stop and ask? She looked at Sophia's reflection. Whether we are treating this person with respect? The room became completely still. Sophia looked into her own eyes. She remembered the late nights, the missed family dinners, the promises she had broken to herself, the endless apologies, the moments she stayed silent even when something felt unfair. One memory after another appeared without warning. None of them had been caused by cruel people. Most had started with one simple choice, her own. A tear slowly rolled down her cheek. Not because someone had hurt her, because she finally understood how often she had hurt herself. Grace gently handed her a small card. Only one sentence was written on it. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. Sophia read the words twice, then a third time. She carefully placed the card inside her notebook. As she returned to her desk, the office looked exactly as it always had. People were arriving, phones were ringing, conversations filled the room. Nothing around her had changed. But for the first time, she understood that respect does not begin when other people change. It begins the moment you decide that your own value is no longer something to apologize for. Part 4. One small boundary. The card stayed inside Sophia's notebook. She didn't read it every hour. She didn't need to. The words had already found a place in her mind. The next few days looked much like every other week. Clients still needed revisions. Coworkers still asked for help. Deadlines still arrived faster than expected. The world had not slowed down. Only Sophia had. On Thursday afternoon, she was finishing a design when Kevin stopped beside her desk. Hey, Sophia. He smiled. Could you check my presentation again? She looked at the file on his screen, then at her own work. She still had several pages to finish before the end of the day. The old habit quietly returned. It'll only take a few minutes. Just help him. Her fingers almost reached for his laptop. Then she stopped. Not because she was angry, not because she wanted to prove a point. She simply remembered the woman in the mirror. She smiled politely. I can't right now. I need to finish my project first. If I have time later, I'll let you know. Kevin looked surprised, only for a second. Then he nodded. That's fair. I'll figure it out. He walked away. Sophia sat quietly for a moment. She waited for the familiar feeling of guilt. It didn't come. Instead, she felt something unexpected. Relief. Nothing bad had happened. No one was upset. No one thought she was selfish. She had spent years fearing a reaction that existed mostly in her imagination. Later that evening, she left the office before sunset. Instead of checking work messages on the bus, she put her phone into her bag. She watched the city pass by through the window. Children were laughing in a small playground. A street musician was playing a quiet song. People were walking home without rushing. Sophia smiled. She realized how many beautiful moments she had missed because her mind was always busy trying to please someone else. When she arrived home, she stood in front of the same bathroom mirror. This time, she didn't look tired. She looked peaceful. Not because life had become easier, because for the first time in a long while, she had kept a promise to herself. She opened her notebook and looked at Grace's card once more. Then, beneath it, she wrote a single sentence. Today, I respected myself without hurting anyone else. She closed the notebook gently. Outside, the evening grew darker. Inside, something new was beginning to grow. Not confidence, not pride, something quieter, self-respect. And she understood that, just like trust, it wasn't built in one day. It was built one choice at a time. Part 5. The respect she had been looking for. A month passed. The small changes in Sophia's life became quiet habits. She still helped people. She still smiled. She still cared. But now, she also cared about herself. One Monday morning, the design team gathered for an important meeting. A new project had just arrived. The manager looked around the room. "We'll need someone to stay late this week," he said. The room became quiet. Sophia knew what usually happened. People would wait. Then someone would look at her. Just as she expected, Kevin smiled. Sophia is always willing to help. A few others nodded. For a moment, the old habit returned. She wanted to protect everyone from disappointment. Then she remembered the woman in the mirror. She remembered the promise she had written in her notebook. She took a slow breath. "I can stay one evening," she said calmly. "But I won't be able to stay every night. I've already made plans with my family." The room stayed silent for a moment. Then the manager nodded. "Thank you for telling us." He looked around the table. "Let's share the work." Within a few minutes, everyone volunteered to help. The project no longer belonged to one person. It belonged to the whole team. As the meeting ended, Kevin walked beside her. "I owe you an apology," he said. Sophia looked at him, surprised. "I got used to asking for your help because I thought you never minded." He smiled awkwardly. "I never stopped to ask if it was fair." Sophia smiled back. "I never stopped to ask myself either." For a second, they both laughed. There was no anger, no blame, only understanding. That evening, Sophia arrived at her parents' house just before dinner. Her mother opened the door with a warm smile. "You made it." Sophia nodded. "I told myself I wouldn't miss this one." The table was filled with simple food and familiar voices. Her father shared old stories. Her mother laughed. Her younger brother teased everyone, just as he always had. Sophia looked around the room. She realized these were the moments she had been giving away without noticing. Not because anyone had taken them, because she had never believed they were important enough to protect. After dinner, she stood by the hallway mirror before leaving. This time, she didn't stop to fix her hair. She simply looked at her reflection. The woman looking back seemed exactly the same. Yet something had changed. She no longer needed everyone else's approval to feel valuable. She had found something much stronger. The quiet confidence that grows when you know your own worth. As she stepped outside into the cool evening air, Sophia smiled. Respect had not appeared because the world had changed. It appeared because she finally stopped asking permission to value herself. Ending. The way you see yourself. Sophia's life did not become perfect. She still faced busy days. She still made mistakes. She still met people who expected too much from her. But one thing was different. She no longer believed that saying yes to everything made her a better person. She discovered that self-respect is not about proving your value. It is about remembering that you already have value. When you respect your own time, other people begin to respect it too. When you speak with honesty, people learn to trust your words. When you protect your peace, your relationships become healthier, not weaker. Perhaps you have been waiting for someone to appreciate you, someone to notice your effort, someone to tell you that you are enough. But maybe the first person who needs to believe that is you. Before we finish, let's practice a few simple English sentences together. Read them slowly. Say them with confidence. I respect myself every day. My time and my energy matter. I can say no with kindness. I choose respect over approval. My value does not depend on other people's opinions. Now I'd love to hear from you. What is one small way you can show yourself more respect this week? Share your answer in the comments. Your words may encourage someone who is learning the same lesson today. If this story helped you improve your English and reminded you of your own worth, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Every story in this series is created to help you grow your English, your confidence, and your understanding of life. One meaningful story at a time. In our next story, we'll discover why learning to let go is one of the greatest forms of inner strength. Until then, respect yourself, protect your peace, and never forget that the way you treat yourself teaches the world how to treat you.